Hey, welcome to the Higher Ed AV podcast. My name is Joe Way. I am your host, sorta. Actually, I'm only doing a handful of them. You are now listening to, or watching, of course, maybe, live interviews from our great partners and higher ed peeps. So we've got BC, we've got Tim Van Wart, we got myself doing some booth interviews live from the HEAV booth at InfoComm 2023. This is being split into 2 episodes. I'm just recording this intro once, so I don't know if you're watching number 1 or number 2. Don't know. But here we go. I just want to give a little preview, tell you everybody, thanks always. The HEAV booth was a huge success. It was great doing Higher Ed AV recordings there. We have a plethora, I don't know. I'm not a big fan of that word, but nonetheless, here we go. This is me. You don't want to hear me. You want to hear these interviews, but we've got all of our great partners. We've got our sponsor partners there. We're talking about things that were on the floor, trends. You're going to kind of hear the same general questions of what people are seeing and what's going on at InfoComm. And I'm getting a call, so I'm going to stop this. Enjoy. Hey, welcome to the Higher Ed AV podcast. My name is Joe Way. I am your host, and oh my God, we are on the show floor, InfoComm 2023. I have 2 VIPs with me. Today. Just going to talk a little bit about, what the show is like, what we're looking at the vertical, and they can just talk about how amazing of a person I am. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, we could do that.
All right. So first off, I'm going to start down at the far end of me as we're here. Andrew, please tell people who you are and what you do.
Yeah, great. So I'm Andrew Kornstein. I'm the head of business development for the Americas region. So what my team is responsible for is reaching out to our end users directly. Obviously, higher education is a huge part of what we do as a company. So this community that we're tied into is what an invaluable relationship that we've got.
Oh, yes. No, it really is. Your guys' support has been amazing. I love, just doing the show floor tour earlier and seeing just the products and stuff that you guys are putting out that really focus on the solutions that we need in our vertical is amazing. So we always thank you. And next to me here, John Hewlin, please tell people who you are and what you do.
Well, Joe, thanks for having me. As you mentioned, I'm John Hewlin with Crestron. And my role is a little bit more on the marketing side for our education vertical market. So, I work with a team of 14 people around the United States and Canada who work directly with colleges, universities, and school districts. So,
yeah. Well, thank you. And again, always, Crestron has always been a huge support of the vertical. Me personally, but also just the vertical in general, and seeing how you guys have led the market. I think, especially when you look at the change that the pandemic had in the world, right? And being able to follow through and give us products and solutions that help us solve for the future. So, John, I'm going to stay with you. Can you tell us, one, what are you guys showing over at your booth? What's new? And then the breaking my own rule of asking multiple part questions, where do you see the trends going?
All right, I'll tackle it. In our booth, I think we're focused on 3 things. But the truth is, we switched our booth to make it more use case and experiential rather than kind of the black box scenario. And so one of the areas we have is the big active learning space. But some of the newer things include Flex Pods, which go with our Flex conferencing system that provides speaker and mic that you can move around to other places. So obviously we see a trend in movable furniture and flexible classrooms, and the Flex Pod adds to that. We're showing a new video bar, and there's tons of video bars out there. What I like about what we're talking about just in the whole industry, in the whole market, not just Crestron, is understanding better the engagement that needs to come through when you're a remote learner. So, it's not good enough just to have a wide shot of the whole room. We did that to get us over the hump. But I think what we really need now, or what I've seen so many schools doing, is be more discerning about the experience that's being had by the remote learners. So we see that as huge. Video bar flex pods, we've got some actual desk scheduling, which is a little bit more corporate, but I see that possibility with huddle rooms and shared student spaces, student centers, student unions, that could tie in a little bit, as well as some other new DM USB, things like that.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. And by the way, I love the product announcement, too, of your business and the room scheduling devices, because I really see a trend we have, even at USC, is our students now know they can attend their classes remotely. They don't have to, they want to go to a group study room maybe, not sit in a lecture hall. So be able to schedule that out, maybe work in a small group, have 3 or 4 of their classmates join them, and that allows that interactive work. So I think it's wonderful, and I think that there's a move to flexible spaces in higher ed, really in general, but especially in higher ed. So,
no question.
Absolutely. Andrew, now again, same question to you. What are you guys showing? Where do you see the trends going?
So this is our biggest InfoComm ever. We have a booth that's 50 by 50.
Wow.
Never done that before. And if you look at it, it's this video bar that is larger than life. It's about 10 feet tall and about 40 feet wide. So, in case you guys didn't notice the very large video bar, we are getting into the video bar market now. Of course, there's a lot of video bars on the market. We have taken a little bit of a different approach to it, in that we are offering just regular USB interface for a BYOD or any appliance that you'd like, but we also have Dante connectivity with it as well. So we now have the ability to actually take one of our speech line receivers or our newest TCCM, or our Team Connect Ceiling Medium solution, and actually put that in the back of the room for some rear room coverage. If you've got some sort of an odd shaped room, or it's a very long room, you gotta have a VIP in the back be heard. We've got that microphone to handle that now. All the AEC and the auto mixing is done on the bar itself. So
nice.
If you're just plugging a USB connection into it, you've really got a huge room potentially that's covered all from one appliance. So it's a fantastic unit. We're doing also the person tiling on board the unit as well. Can support up to 9 faces. And it does all your PTZ tracking and multiplexing, all that kind of stuff right there on the unit itself. We're not relying on any other kind of processing downstream of it. So really making it really our approach with all of the recent products that we've come out is all about platform agnostic. So whether you're using Crestron DSPs and Crestron programming, all of our products are going to play nice with that. And everything, even decisions we've made with the Dante integration and with the APIs that we've published, all of that is designed to work perfectly with whatever your platform happens to be.
Yeah, no, that's good. And I think that's really important because we're seeing, when the pandemic happened, everybody's like, okay, we're going to Zoom everything. We're going to do this, we're going to do that. But, that starts to now move. And again, going back to the flexible options and having something that, hey, I don't know, I might now have Teams meetings that are happening. I have, the Zoom still classroom. And the way we're using our UC has definitely changed, right? And I think having that ability to be flexible with it is important, right? And so now, to ask you, first off, that was what everyone here, okay, you're listening to this after the show, so I can't tell you to go stop by their booth. But do check out everything online and seeing what they're doing. I think for both of your companies, this was huge of how you're adapting to the market and the market change, right? And being able to bring products. I mean, you guys always do. This is like preaching to the choir. But to say, hey, you know what? We know that the world's changed. We know that the needs in education have changed. So now, Andrew, I'm going to stick with you on this. What are you hearing from your customers now as we're, in the future? What types of installs are popular? What kind of things on a macro level are you hearing our vertical say?
Well, so from the pandemic on, audio has been key. Everybody's wanted the fanciest cameras that they can get with as high of resolution and as best contrast and all of this. But when the pandemic hit, everybody realized how important audio actually was. If you can't, and we talk about this quite a bit, Joe, you and I, if you can't see somebody for 2 or 3 seconds, it's not a big deal. If you can't hear somebody from 2 or 3 seconds, the entire meeting or the entire lecture can be ruined as a result of that.
Yep.
So,
Or a final exam, an answer on a final exam.
yeah, that could, and then you fail university, right? No, of course not. But yeah, that's always been the evolution that we've seen over the last few years. I was talking to one of our product developers, actually the lady that was responsible for the global launch of the Team Connect ceiling, or the Team Connect bar that I was talking about. And we've actually spent the last 2 or 3 years gathering feedback. Joe, I think you were actually even part of that. And we were interviewing our customers directly under NDA. We had very early conversations about this. And people like you and other counterparts in the industry were saying, we have to have this feature. We have to have this feature. Even certain things like it has to be this width for ADA compliance. Things that we wouldn't even really think about on a day-to-day basis. So the community, the input from this community that we've had, you have indirectly built these products for us.
You're welcome.
That's a good credit
another small detail. I was talking to one of our friends, and his input on the bar was it has to have a remote, and it would be great if it was magnetic. So we took that, and now we have a remote that is wall-mountable, magnetic. And just as a result of what that person said. So that was really, really cool to see.
I love that. And I love that. I love the adaptability, and really, I mean, that just shows that you're listening to your customer. I mean, we always want to hope that you're listening to your customers, but that's honestly saying, hey, here's what they told us, here's what they need, we're going to bring that to you. And that's what you guys have always done, especially for our vertical. John, same question to you then. What are you hearing our customers saying? What direction and what trends are happening?
Andrew touched on one for a second. I think BYOD is going to be, important, and supporting whatever device people want to bring in, whatever they want to share the content on. So it's that level of flexibility. 2 others that I've seen really emerging are large and custom spaces. The idea that these spaces are constantly repurposed to handle whatever is general classes, a classroom scenario versus some type of either lab or, movable, like you said, movable furniture. And I think large and custom is going to make a difference. I think we're going to see a lot of our schools, and we already have, designing what has never before looked like a classroom. Spaces with just what the 21st century student, I think, is starting to learn or expect. And I think that progression is going to go forward. And then I think besides BYOD and large and custom spaces are active learning spaces.
Yeah.
And we got that in the booth, but the truth is, active learning, immersive experiences, we're talking about active learning for anything from a small recording studio, because then it becomes active that you're listening to recordings, you're watching videos out of class, and then you come back to the course in the class with other people to discuss, all the way to VR labs, XR labs, mixed media labs. You guys have in the new digital creative lab. So we're seeing these other spaces besides traditional learning really, really explode. So small recording studio, I mentioned but we're also seeing the multi-table classrooms,
Yep.
the multi-display classrooms. Then do you use multiple cameras in a space like that? So there's really so much to choose from. But, I think listening is a huge point, just like you said. There is enough info out there that we'll be able to help the schools and provide them the solutions we need. So I'm excited about it.
Yeah. No, that's great. And I love it. I love it too, because again, I think the central theme in both of your guys' answers in the last two questions seems to move to flexibility, fluidity, things. We have to be able to give you a solution no matter how you want to use the space, right? And no matter what it's for. And I always say too, like in my classrooms, I don't know that you could have a business class in one, at 8 o'clock, and then it's a film study class at 9 o'clock, right? And those are two different types of requirements. I need to be able to capture and listen to high quality audio, high quality video. Can I bring the faculty members in? If I look at a school like mine, we could have guest instructors from all over the world, right? So being able to have UC solutions that can pull people in or send it out, right? If the students are now they expect they don't necessarily have to always be there, right? There's a lot of things, and that's just the change, right? But pre-pandemic, you wouldn't have really thought about it. What we consider now of like, of course that's how it is, wasn't the case.
I agree. Yeah.
Right? It wasn't the case at all. So I think that's great. So I want to ask another question now. We're going to kind of go off. You're sitting an end user bought a booth at Infocom. What do you think of that? What's your impression? Andrew, go for that.
So I'm looking at everybody right now, and you guys are just slammed with traffic. I don't know if it's because of the massages that are going on, or
it's the big fraternity party in the back of the room here. We've got.
That's what that sound is back there. Okay. I think it's great. Like I said, this vertical, this community is just so important. And I've talked to a lot of schools across the U.S. and they don't know that this type of thing even exists. And that is so cool. Just to when you say, "Hey, have you considered HETMA or maybe another group like that?" They just light up and they say, "Oh wow, you mean there's a community that I can run that I can run ideas by? I'm just a small community college, and I don't maybe I don't know what I'm doing, or I can't keep up with the trends necessarily." So when they find out about an association like this, it just means everything in the world. The fact that you guys are doing this, I think, really sets a new precedent, and I can't wait to see what's in the future for you guys.
Yeah. No, thank you, because I totally get it. Like, we are looking out and look at this buzz. You know that an hour on, so it opened at 9. When I checked the numbers at 12:30, we had over 500 badge scans already.
Awesome. That's amazing.
Is that crazy?
I love it. I love it.
And that was a lot of people who were intentional when the floor opened, coming back and going, I was told I have to come see what this is.
Wow.
And I think that, to me, is what says a lot about it, a lot about the organization and just kind of where I hope we can go. And I love having that footprint for higher ed. John, same question to you. What are your thoughts?
Well, look, I think one thing is AVIXA should hopefully start having their head raised to how important the industry groups are, even within this whole industry. The vertical of education makes up a huge portion of Crestron's commercial products and solutions, and I feel strongly that we need support. So one of the biggest things I hear from schools, my team isn't big enough, I don't have as many staff as I need, and so on. So what I love is that this community can fill in some of those gaps. The idea that, I can talk to someone who's more of an expert in video broadcast just because I'm a member of HETMA. Mm-hmm. And I can talk to someone who really knows this much about LED walls because this other school at HETMA just did this huge project. So I think it's sharing the burden that so many schools carry, as well as we have the whole spectrum, schools that have all the staff they need, and everybody's still busy, to people that are 2 or 3 people manage 300 or 400 rooms.
Yep.
So to me, I think if Avixa and the integrators who are here and the consultants haven't spent enough time thinking about how important and trend-setting the EDU market is, they're missing a big part of the pie, and a big part of the puzzle to offer solutions.
Yeah, no, I love that, and I think that that was one of the things that I've noticed, because I'll be 100% honest with everybody. I've been a nervous wreck for the last month. And I know you guys, even you're emailing, hey, what do you need from us? No, I'm like, I don't know, like I don't know, because I didn't know what to expect. Like, we haven't done this. I've never been trade show guy. I have a total new respect for anyone who puts a booth together. Okay, but it was more like I was carrying a burden personally for this. Are we gonna look like an idiot, right? Like, what is there a reason why end user but then look at this. I mean, look at this. The buzz, the fact of people going, no, we're here. We want to represent. We want to come and find out. And we've always talked in education about how we're a community. And a community now has a flag on the floor. We've put a stick in the ground and said, here we are, right?
Well, kudos to you for taking a risk. This would have never happened if you didn't step out and do that. So congratulations to you and everybody involved.
No, it's awesome. And again, I also say thank you. It wouldn't be possible without you guys' sponsorship too. Let's be no, our partnership together, right? And that's really what it's about. And when this organization was founded, we did it because we said, hey, we need an advocacy voice for our vertical. And your company stepped up and said, we want to do this with you. Right. And that's what's important. So I want to also say thank you for that then. So to close up, how can people find out, connect with you, and also find out more about your companies? John, how can they connect with you and find out more?
Sure. They can connect with Crestron at crestron.com or any of our social followings. And me personally, Jay Hewlin at crestron.com. And, I'd love to speak to anybody. Again, thank you, Joe, for this. Ryan, everybody who chipped in and made a huge, it was a huge undertaking to do a 20 by 20 too, rather than a little 10 by 10.
I know.
I give you guys all the props.
I thought 20 by 20 was huge, and now look at this. We're running out of space already.
I know. You've got a masseuse in here. You've got other interviews going on, and so I hope that this experience is so good that you can't help but want to do it next year.
Yeah. Well, we already got a deposit. We already got a space for next year. I'm stuck. I'm pot committed now. We're pot committed.
You're all in already.
Andrew, how can people get a hold of you? Find out more about Sennheiser.
Yeah. So if you just go to Sennheiser.com, you'll see right there all of the new product releases that we're announcing here at InfoComm, and all the highlights. If you just click on the product that you're most interested in, you're going to see a form. Do you want a demo? Do you want to learn a little bit more information? You'll see that form there, and one of my team will personally reach out to each one of those requests that we get. So really like to be hands-on with all of those requests that we get.
Awesome. Well, thank you both. I consider you guys great friends, great partners. This wouldn't be possible without you. I'm on cloud 9, and my huge thank you to all your support. All right.
Right back at you.
All right. And like always, all the opinions expressed here are not necessarily those of any sponsor of the show or any institution that representative. And if you did not like any of these opinions, there might be better ones next time. Thank you, gents. Cheers.
All right.
Take care.
All right, greetings everybody. This is Tim Van Wert with the AV Life podcast, but also I am actually here for the Higher Ed AV podcast, as well as for here at HETMA. We have Michael McAdams here from Hudley, and welcome to the HETMA booth here and all the craziness that we've had as of late. How you doing today, sir?
Doing great, thanks, Tim.
Good, glad to have you here.
Right on.
Yeah, how's your show been going?
Man, the show's been going great for us. We've been absolutely mobbed. We've got a booth, a double-sized booth here, and then we also have a demonstration room down the hallway for a little more intimate setting to show off the capabilities of our new technology called the Hudley Crew. It's the world's first AI-directed multi-camera system, and it's got a great use case for university settings as well.
That's awesome. Yeah, actually, we've talked a lot about. I feel like I've talked a lot about this over the last couple months since we've known that this product was coming out. I'm trying to remember where I saw this. Was it at the HEAV Virtual Conference that you guys talked about it a little bit?
We talked about it, but we didn't showcase
You
it.
didn't
It might
showcase.
have been in an Enterprise Connect here in Orlando a couple months ago.
Yeah, and I wasn't down here for that, but I remember hearing about this, and we talked about it, and like the excitement that I've already had for it, because like there have been spaces that I've really wanted to see this in, like because of the AI-driven nature of it, and the fact that it's a 3-camera system, and that it just would make things so much easier in certain classrooms for us. So I'm really looking forward to that. So
yeah, and actually the crew should be able to be expanded beyond 3 at a later date, but
All right.
currently on rollout it will be 3 standard. And then it'll evolve. It's a hardware and software defined program, camera platform, so it'll continue to evolve. So you can just keep throwing firmware at it and making it modular from a software and a hardware perspective.
Right.
And get surround video eventually.
that would be great. Yeah, that sounds wonderful. And like I think that's so. Do you think? I mean, as far as like the trends that we're seeing right now, is that kind of where you see us going in higher ed? And
Yes, I mean it's almost not so much a trend as a demand. I mean, an absolute necessity in order to keep that high flex environment going. Because the difficulty is disenfranchisement or dystopia on the far end, not being engaged in that classroom setting. So our technology is going to try to give different vantage points within the classroom, and by having multiple cameras and more than 3 eventually, should give you a full immersive viewpoint of that classroom, so that way far sight can see professors, instructors, plus their peers, their collegiate peers that they want to socially learn from and take nonverbal cues off of them.
Yes.
It's not something capable right now. So the demand now is 2 camera systems, 1 teacher cam and 1 classroom cam. Frost & Sullivan says it'll be ex post facto 3 cameras in all classrooms by 2025, including that document cam. So most classrooms already have 3 cameras in a classroom.
Oh yeah, and that's I definitely agree with you on that. Like that's been a thing that yes, it's a demand. Like it's almost it's a priority. It's mandatory. You know, we're at a point now where like I'm going back and like we outfitted a lot of classrooms I'm at Rutgers University in New Jersey, and we outfitted a lot of our classrooms during COVID with cameras. But now it's like, okay, 1 camera was fine. Now we need more. Like it's like now they want to see the students. Okay, a student static shot was fine, but now like they're so far away. Like let's bring that equity needs to be brought in for the virtual experience, and that's what we're trying to accomplish now. And I agree with you. Like that is where we are at now, is to provide that. Okay, I'm home because whatever it might be. Like if I'm sick or if it's more convenient to be home, then here it is. I feel like I'm in the classroom, and that's what you want. That's what we want.
Absolutely. And for higher education, that's great too, because then they can be more comfortable and be able to peer into that classroom and then make that communication process more of a learning process, because they're getting the full story, not just the audio video, but they're looking at the nonverbal communication. And in some empirical evidence suggests that nonverbal communication is about 70%, non-vocal is about 70% of the communication process. So read body language. It's not what you say, it's how you say it.
Correct.
It's the things in the room that communicate. So we're trying to make our cameras, or we do make our cameras people-centric. So in a classroom environment, if they are dynamic and they have small groups and projects and they split up and move, our cameras will track the human form. So we don't have to have consistent collaboration or configuration. So we want to keep the burden of labor for your staff down to a minimum, so that way it can be fully autonomous.
Right, and then ultimately, from our perspective, you know, we're not just the end users. We are also the install. Well, in some cases, we're the the installers and the integrators as well. We're those in-house integrators, as we like to say. So yes, the install part is important, but then yes, the end user experience is the most important, because we have faculty members who maybe, you know what, they're not as tech savvy as we are. So if we can bridge that gap, like if it's already simple to install and simple to operate, for us to then make it even simpler for our end user to say, okay, let's get going, then that's the ultimate goal. Because I'll get a professor that's been teaching at the university for 30 years, and you know, if all he needs to do is hit one button, then we're good to go, and we love that because they love that too.
Right, absolutely. And that's what we want to do, is just make it democratized for the masses, so that way they can all take advantage of the video technology and not have to be scientists in order to operate the technology or set it up.
Exactly. So yeah, we all appreciate that on all levels. So I mean, you've seen what we've been doing here at the HETMA booth. So how do you feel about us as an end user community? What do you think about us being here on the floor? And we're the first to actually be this way.
Is that right? That's fantastic. You guys are trendsetters in a lot of things, but having a booth here as an end user, a first end user ever, I think that says a lot about your commitment to understanding technology, evaluating technology, and trying to put best-in-class technologies in the classroom, so that way you can make the classroom environment more of an effective learning and communication process. So I think that's really awesome the way you guys are doing.
I was just saying, we actually do have the video you're watching here is on a Hudley camera.
Oh, yeah, I see the Hudley IQ right there.
Yeah, it's hanging out.
Nice.
Yeah, it's hanging out right here, and so it's been here
so
the whole.
small and discreet, I barely noticed it.
Yeah, exactly. It's got a great shot. Like, you know, we can catch all the activity that's going on, and we're right here in front of it as well. So it's been a workhorse for us this whole show, and we have other Hudley cameras that have been through the approved product. Is actually that is a HETMA approved camera. So yes,
I think our full line is approved by HETMA except for the crew, but that will probably go into a process as soon as we deliver.
Yep, as soon as you deliver, we'll have that. If you want that through, we will get that through, and we look forward to giving our stamp of approval on that. So
wonderful.
Yes,
we definitely appreciate the partnership that Hudley's had with HETMA. You've been an outstanding organization, but I think you also do a lot of services to the higher education community in general anyways, because we all want to optimize technology to bridge that knowledge gap, and I think that's what that you guys are doing phenomenally well.
Well, we couldn't do it without the support of manufacturer partners like yourself, so we appreciate all the involvement that Hudley has had over the years with us as well. You know, like I said, you know, we cannot do it without you. You know, we have and the fact that we can then provide this as a free service for our members is only because of like Hudley and others, you know, so we thank you very much for that as well. So.
Thank you.
Yeah, so Michael, it's been great having this conversation with you here today. I know we're at Friday, and we've all had a great busy show here, and we're.
There is one thing though about the show, the InfoComm show. I'd like to get a little prop out.
Oh, go right ahead. Yeah.
We got some interesting news last night that we were awarded the Best of Show award for InfoComm 2023 at our booth right down the road. So, our aisle, if you want to come see it, we are award winning now for InfoComm 23 on the Hudley crew.
Awesome. Well, congratulations on that. Glad to hear it, and we look forward to it here at HETMA to have that product and get it approved and get it out to our members as well. So thank you for taking the time with me today, please. And as I always say on the AV Life, until our next adventure.
Hey, this is BC Hatchet coming to you again live here from the show floor at InfoComm 23 in sunny and humid Orlando, Florida. And Kevin from AVI SPL is joining me now. So Kevin, how's it going, man?
Living my best life, man.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Day 2, feet tired yet, or are you still trucking through?
You know what? I think this is like my 15th show, so every year I feel like my knees are just a little bit more aching on me.
I know, right? It's not, for some reason, the joints don't ever seem to get better. They just wear out and wear out.
It's funny how that works, right?
Yeah,
it's
like what Indiana Jones says, it's not the years, it's the miles.
Well, and as you do this more and more, you realize, like, I'm not wearing nice shoes. I'm wearing comfortable walking shoes.
Yes. I think the days of the dress shoes on the show floor, permanently dead.
Love it.
I'm encouraged because I'm seeing more and more people just rock shorts on the floor. Like, come on, let's just be comfortable. We're walking miles a day in miserable heat, so we're gonna have fun.
Yeah. We're not in a cool, non-human climate. That's
Exactly.
For sure.
Exactly. So, Kevin, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, so Kevin Schoenhorst, I'm with AVI SPL. I've been in AV for almost 25 years now. But at AVISPL, I'm the director of SLED Business Development. And for us, state local education is a huge segment of AVISPL. But most of what we do is higher education. So the relationships between all the universities, the HETMA alignment, for us made so much sense.
Yes.
So, as a former higher education guy myself, I was an AV engineer at a university for about 7 years. It's like coming home.
I know, it is. And we actually had met at a previous InfoComm, and I'm glad we've been able to keep that relationship going and talking and just keep it going, even though now you're over on the other side of the fence, so to speak. So,
but the good thing is, I was talking to some of the other guys who were former EDUers over the last couple days, and just so important that we bring those best practices and just kind of keep the message going.
Absolutely.
You know, from vendors to integration to experiential spaces, like it. We need to keep that message going, and that's why it's great to keep the connections over time.
absolutely. So tell me, what's AVISPL got going on the show floor this year?
Man, we have the biggest booth we've ever had. We've got we're like everybody else. We've got the big flying signs up above from the rafters, right? Shape the future. But yeah, AVISPL is really focusing on a couple core things. You know, experiential spaces. XR stages, how you can integrate that and see it in use. And then, of course, our AVISPL Symphony, monitoring, tracking, asset management, data analytics. You know, everything that touches your network can absolutely be monitored under a single piece of glass.
Okay.
And then for all of us engineering nerds out there, we've got our VR headsets, and you can actually build your collaboration spaces, your classrooms, your conference rooms, and see it in a virtual environment.
Wow.
So, you know, we've partnered with a couple of great partners out there who kind of bring that experience and are pushing that out to everybody that's needing those kinds of services, because not everyone is visual.
Yeah.
So to see it in an actual environment, or why we think customer A, that's not a good idea, you know, faculty member, think about this. Here, put this on and see that space.
That's frankly amazing. I mean, that allows you to really provide that visualization to the stakeholders and the people writing the checks, so they have a good idea of what they're investing in before they make that investment, and get them really excited about what they're getting ready to experience.
I think we get lost in that as engineering, or people who see things point to point. We get it. Like, oh no, I totally see that. I can see the limitations of that cable over that distance. But faculty are great at their course content.
Yes.
They can't visualize that building you're going to build in the middle of Nashville. They can't visualize that. I think we have a great eye for that, but we've got to find environments that help everybody kind of be on a level playing field. So it's true understanding.
And I think that's great, because I mean, most of the time they're thinking about, is what's getting installed, is that going to help me teach? Is it not going to get in the way? Is it going to do what I need it to do? So if they get the chance to see it ahead of time, maybe that gets them more excited about the physical space and what they're getting into, and not, worry so much about the minutia, right?
And think about things like, we love Windows, but as technologists, we don't like Windows, right? Hey, you're in the corner of that, and that 500-seat auditorium's at the corner of the building facing north-northeast. How is the light going to affect that? Do we need to think about automation with shades? Do we need to let's think about what that's going to look like for, the projection screen. Is it going to be bright enough? Maybe that room needs a bigger projector. Things like that.
That's awesome.
Really play well.
So since you are a former EDU person and you are working in the higher ed space a lot with your customers, what are some of the trends you're starting to see in higher education?
Yeah, I think the biggest trend is, of course, we've continued to talk about high-flex learning, high-flex adoption, spending the rest of that federal money that's here with us for, another 2 weeks or so. The big thing is, how do we get people excited to be back on our campus? Because I don't think we're ever going to be all back on campus, and I don't think we're all going to be hybrid, right? I think it's going to be a mixed smash of it. So, how do you get the best equitable experience from a high flex? And then how do you get people excited about experiential spaces on your campus? What gets you excited about coming back? So those are the two things that we're continuing to talk about.
I keep hearing, not just from you, but from other folks, that experiential space, like that focus on the experience, that focus on the immersive environment. Can you talk a little bit more about what you think that's going to look like? How is that going to progress?
Yeah, I think we learned through the pandemic that, people learn differently, and that learning environment can be anywhere. So we need to be thinking about our quads as learning spaces. We need to think about, how to have large, interactive screens that people can just walk up to and touch. Do you need digital signage everywhere, or do you have, some kind of QR code thing that, senses where you are and gives you the kind of content you're looking for? And not to mention athletics venues and, making those experiences continue to elevate over your other competition. So it's all of it, all the time, and never stops.
Yeah, that's awesome and a great fact. I mean, you're nailing it, because education is not just limited to a classroom anymore. It's anywhere, everywhere. As long as you got a data connection, you can learn.
Yeah, and that's why I don't like to use the word classroom. I like the term learning environment, and I got that from one of my days at Georgia State University. Everywhere is a learning environment. Two people are together collaborating, that's a learning environment, right? So, doesn't mean you get rid of all your whiteboards. In fact, I would say you need more whiteboards for more collaboration, for just more equity and inclusion everywhere across the board.
Absolutely. So, all right, what do you think as, I guess, on the other side of the fence, about an end-user group like Heaven, like us, having a booth on the show floor for the first time?
Innovative. That's the word I would use for what you guys are doing here. To have a place where, at Infocom, you see, Purdue walking down, and Michigan State, Vanderbilt. You see these people, and you walk by them, you're like, oh, that's really cool, because everybody's got their branded shirts on. But to have a place where you guys can congregate, where someone like me, I like to think of myself as an advocate, can just, collaborate and powwow and build the relationship. And, because at the end of the day, for the majority of it, no one is reinventing the wheel. There's always outliers to that. But to have that opportunity to just have those natural, fresh conversations in a safe space that's just for you guys, I think it's a long time coming.
Yeah.
So, higher education is a huge segment. We're the largest audiovisual integrator in the world. And higher education accounts for almost 20% of our business.
Wow.
So it's huge.
Okay.
And to have you guys collaborating and having us be a partner with you guys, it just made so much sense. I'm surprised you guys didn't think of it earlier.
I know, right? I think there's probably been some good starts here and there, but I think Hetman and just our focus on, I think somebody just Ruskin put it this way yesterday, like, we're not building the community, we're kind of giving the community the outlet that it's really needed to kind of be public facing. So just could not be more excited about it. Happy to have your all support. It's fantastic. So Kevin, how can people get a hold of you?
You can reach me on LinkedIn. If you do not have my information, you can reach me through the HETMA board. I'm an active participant in the HETMA podcasts and the HETMA community. So you can reach me on hetma.org or LinkedIn or avispl.com, and you can search me out there.
Awesome. Kevin, really appreciate your time. Have a great rest of the show.
Thanks, VC.
Thanks.
All right, we are back. We are live. Day two now. Day two. Scratchy voices.
Scratchy voices.
This has been a great show so far. It's been amazing to see our people back. There's a certain vibe I feel this year that was kind of missing last few years. But no one knows who I'm talking to. So please introduce yourself and tell people who you are.
Hi, I'm Deborah Russell with NEAT. I cover public sector accounts, which is higher education in the Midwest.
Awesome. Thank you for joining me this morning. So I guess quickly, what is NEAT doing, showing? What are you putting out at the show this year?
We launched huge at our show this year. So we have our NEAT Board 50, which is an active touch display. It's going to be wonderful in higher education. You can use it in conjunction with our front of room devices with NEAT Share. So you can, if you're using Miro or Canvas in the classroom or something like that, you can use it in NEAT Share in your front of room devices. So it'll be a great add to existing NEAT deployments. We launched NEAT Pulse, which includes our app hub. So you'll be able to use NEAT in 3 modes now. So Zoom mode, Teams mode, and app mode, which is like if you've got, students using Kahoot or educators using any kind of education app. If your school has its own app, you can also have that work on our app hub. In conjunction with Pulse also is level 1 and level 2 support and choices on what you deploy to your your NEAT.
I love
Fleet.
that. I love that because that really allows for personalization of the experience, you know. And again, and I think too, especially in higher ed, you know, there's so many different. I mean, like at USC, we have 15,000 faculty, which means there's 15,000 ways someone wants to teach.
And
right?
15,000 opinions. And
Yeah. No, it's 30,000 opinions.
Yeah.
You'll get more opinions than people. But I think that allows that flexibility then, so to bring that solution to our faculty and say, here, how do you want to use this? And
how do
offer
they
that.
and how do you want them to, right?
Yeah.
I had a school visit our booth yesterday, and he was like, oh my God, this gives me so much more control, because they want to unify the school and get some standards, and they have some very large initiatives on inclusion. And when, you know, there's 30,000 opinions on how to do something, it's not always as inclusive as the next opinion. And so it allows for a more unified approach to what you're delivering your students and what they're able to consume. So
Yeah, no, I love that. I love that a lot. So it kind of leads me into my next question then. What are the trends that you're starting to see then? Like, are you getting people asking for that, and hence why you delivered it, or what are we saying in the higher ed vertical?
that inclusion was one that's huge, right? So, you know, kind of taking an approach of like unifying the way things are delivered, because people need to be able to have the same experience or access to the same experience. Not that they need to have it, but they need to be allowed to, right?
Yeah.
So I'm seeing a lot of how can we make these spaces really simple to use? How can we make these spaces accessible to everyone? How can we make it so that you don't have to learn AV in the history of the internet to use something? How can we make it so that people can consume education in different modes, right? Not everybody learns the same way. I mean, for 100 years, we've gone to school the same way, sit with 2 feet on the floor and face the front of the room and listen to the instructor, and that is not how everybody learns. So really adapting to how we can make things more accessible. Like I heard yesterday that a teacher was taking the next week to go like to Mexico or something, and they were going to deliver their class from work from anywhere. And so, you know, being adaptable to that, education has those learning modes too.
Yeah, I love that. And that is absolutely true. We did see the pandemic changed education. And I think, you know, I think for the better, right? We've really been in a place where we have to, you know, we don't want to go through a pandemic and then have it mean nothing, right? And so the fact that, like you said, traditional education just isn't the same. You can't be a talking head anymore. It has to be interactive. You have to be able to allow people to, students to collaborate and also, you know, learn from however, wherever, and again, even faculty. I look at opportunities to bring in guest speakers, things like that, you know, that no, they don't have to get on a plane and come out to LA. You should, but, you know, you don't have to.
I will. If you need a guest speaker.
Come on out, you know. All right. No, that's great. And, you know, we love the support we've gotten from NEAT. Just early on, you've been one of the biggest champions for us. And
Well, we love you guys too.
yeah. And so we're recording this, obviously, from the first end users to ever put a booth on the show floor, and we love representing higher ed in that way. So what is your opinion? What do you think? What do you think of us?
Oh my God, your booth is a party. I was like, somebody came to my booth yesterday that I don't think was in higher ed and was like, have you been over to HETMA? They're giving out mojitos. Like, you guys have, you know, created something different. And I think you've done that since the beginning by creating HETMA. It is end users coming together to create a book of products and a list of products that are really helpful to end users. And I think by being those advocates from the show floor, you're just, you know, continuing the mission.
Yeah, no, thank you. And it is a big old party here in the back. I mean, there might be a reason Avixa said, yeah, we're going to put the children in the back of the room. And so we can just run our big fraternity party from the back row. But it is fun. And it's been amazing to kind of see both people from higher ed come out and just go, wow, my community's here. There's a but also
there's a lot of higher ed at this show.
Yes,
a lot.
And that was, I think, over 200 and some people showed up to our happy hour yesterday. That was crazy.
That is awesome.
Yeah. And again, I think it just shows the need, you know, that there was something missing. You know?
Yeah, and you know, it's nice to be able to advocate from the show floor, right? Like the camaraderie, the fraternity, like you're saying. I mean, everyone walking the floor is an end user, and it's like nice to have somebody here that you can, bounce ideas off of or ask questions in a safe space that isn't somebody trying to sell you something.
Exactly. And so I'm loving this. I'm watching the buzz start and people kind of picking up and
Troy's
and all
cowboy
that.
hat.
I know Troy's up there with his cowboy hat and just everything going on.
I think
it's
they
just
should offer
amazing.
mimosas on day 2.
We could have done that. We have chair massages.
You
and
probably
stuff.
could still do it. It's only 9 a.m.
That is true. Well, they only let you have alcohol for so many hours. Did you know that's in their little contract rules?
What?
Yeah, like you're only allowed so many hours of alcohol per day in your booth. So we have another happy hour again, but we just only allowed 2 hours. So there you go.
That is,
I think we need to change the rules.
yeah, that's the most Florida thing I've ever heard.
Yeah. Or what if? So here's the way I could. Next year we have a 20 by 20 booth. Why don't we just buy 4 10 by 10s, and each booth would get 2 hours. We just move the move the bar
like
to a different corner.
Musical booths.
Yeah. Oh, there we go. I like it.
Each booth could have a different theme. Like you could have a beach party and like a ski party,
Yeah.
like
I
an
like
opera
it.
party, and then you've got the beach party. I think
Yeah.
I'll join the planning committee for
you
next
know what?
year.
That is an entire rush week in
Yeah,
one.
it's rush week.
I love it. Okay, thank you so much. This was fun. I guess to conclude, how can people get a hold of you? How can they learn more about NEAT?
We are so simple. It's 4 letters, NEAT, and then we are Norwegian, so it's neat.no. Everything's on our website. Our website is beautiful and simple and really easy to use. And yeah, we've got a great team, and we will get you to the right place.
Great. Thank you so much for coming on. This was such a pleasure. Have a great rest of your show.
Thank you so much.
Hey, it's BC Hatchet here again on the show floor here in InfoComm 2023 down here in sunny Orlando, Florida at the HETMA booth. I am joined by Eric from Sennheiser. Eric, how's it going today?
Good, BC. Good to see you.
You too, man. So those of us that don't know you or those out there that don't know you, haven't heard from you yet, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Sure. So I been with Sennheiser now for a little over 4 years. I'm business development manager for the Central United States, so from North Dakota down to Texas, and I get to focus on relationships with end users. So universities and colleges have been a big focus for us, obviously, and growing those relationships and really learning about the needs of what these universities have and how we can help support their growth and what they have going on.
That's fantastic, and then we always love hearing about those partnerships with our manufacturers that we use. We always feel like that's the best way that we can both stay on the same page, and you guys can start helping us solve some of our challenges. We can give you guys some of the great data to help you develop those products that help us solve those challenges.
Absolutely, yeah, that's
Fantastic.
what we're here for.
So what all does Sennheiser have this year showing here at InfoComm?
So our biggest showcase, of course, is the release of our new Team Connect bar, the small one and the medium one. But what it's really helping to showcase is our Team Connect family of products. So our Team Connect ceiling microphones, the TCC2, which is the 2x2 tile that everybody's familiar with now, but our new TCC-M, which is a round form factor. It's a little bit smaller coverage pattern, same performance, same functionality and everything else. But now paired with our TCC bar, you can integrate and do additional room coverage from the bar with a single cable. I mean, the integration now for these solutions is incredible to help really kind of save money at the end of the day, not needing DSPs in some cases, just to make it easy to integrate and utilize and, of course, deliver high-quality audio for.
That's fantastic, because it's one thing I've noticed, especially with your all's products now. It's everything is starting to become so much easier. We're not having to run a ton of cables or try to figure out how to make something work. It just automatically works out of the box, which makes our lives so much easier on the training, support, and purchasing side. So that's a great trend that you guys are moving in.
And I know some of the schools do a lot of their own installations up to a point. So our solutions, I think, allow those teams to actually do a lot more by themselves. Again, kind of a cost savings in the long run, but it allows them to have better control and support over what's going into the walls and the ceilings.
Yeah.
But just having a kind of an all-in-one solution is really handy. But keeping in mind that we are agnostic in the sense that we play well with everybody. And so if you have other brands of other products that you already have in that room, we're okay with that.
Okay.
And we don't have restrictions in the connectivity. It'll still connect and play well with our product, making it easy to upgrade as you need rather than being forced to have to do a whole system redo just because we have a closed ecosystem. Because we don't.
That's fantastic, because I know, knowing in that working in that higher ed realm, you ever want to say no, we can't support that. You've got to use this. That never flies well. So being able to do any of the flavors is fantastic. So.
One of our other big things we're having fun showing off at the show is our Mobile Connect.
Oh yes.
So we know a few of the universities, especially in HEAV, have taken advantage of the Mobile Connect product, and starting out as assisted listening over Wi-Fi solution, bring your own device, really neat concept, and it's been taken on really well. Very, very usable product. With the latest firmware update now, you have customizability of the app. So now you can put in the school logo, school color scheme, and including intro screens for like instructions on how to use the system, which then makes it really easy to then incorporate and get a better buy-in from the students and faculty. But then on top of that, we have now the new TalkBack feature, which is really exciting. So from a general integration standpoint, being able to not only listen to what the instructor is saying, but now being able to allow the students to talk back easily by using their phone, the microphone on their phones, and have it come out over the loudspeakers in the room is pretty amazing. So even though we have ceiling microphones for capture, and we have wireless for capture, well, it depends on the environment, obviously, and everybody's going to pick the solution that works best for them, both budget-wise as well as just the overall infrastructure. Mobile Connect now provides a complete bidirectional communication solution that makes it really easy to integrate. And on top of that, you can have it to where it's set for every classroom if you invest into it that much, or you can have it to where just through Dante routing, you can enable it in whatever classroom you want without having to move hardware. It's all software switched now.
And that's clutch, especially our lecterns aren't getting any larger. We're trying to shrink them all down. So anytime we can do that. So you're out and about. You talk with a lot of higher ed institutions, a lot of higher ed folks. What trends are you starting to see in higher education?
So I think that's a good question. I think one of the conversations that comes up often is the ability to reduce the amount of connection or connecting points to a compute device and allowing a BYOD or BYOM type of environment. And I think especially now with our bar coming into the picture, that'll help us get into that a lot more. Of course, with partnerships with Audinate, with their Avio adapters, we're able to actually integrate very, very easily with the microphones without requirement of a DSP with a single USB connection. And that's across the board. It's not necessarily just with us, but it does help with the ability for folks to just bring in a laptop that's otherwise pre-configured, hopefully, and they can just plug in a USB connection and away you go. With our bars being able to pass through video as well, that still allows a single point connection to not only deliver the audio, but pass through the audio to hit your displays, or video, to hit the displays.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So I think the single point connection has been kind of a big topic. I know companies like Monic and things doing the video streaming, that's kind of a big deal, but it's only one part of the whole system. So you can tell gears are spinning. People are trying to come up with ways and utilize tools to allow them to do that, just to simplify the use of the gear without having to retrain the staff every time.
Absolutely. Yeah, we limited training staff time. It's whatever you can do to simplify that is fantastic. So, all right, last question for you, and asking everybody, how cool is it that an end user group finally has a booth on the show floor?
I think it's fantastic. In fact, I was so excited to hear that Hetman had a booth on the floor, and I didn't get a chance to walk out here to see it, and I got to see a picture of it on Twitter of all things, and I couldn't wait to come out and see the booth. I think it's great. The energy's really awesome. Of course, everything that you guys are doing to support the higher ed community is fantastic, and we're happy to be part of the family.
Awesome. Well, we're happy to have Sennheiser help us out with all that stuff. So, Eric, how can people get in touch with you?
Me personally, I'll just throw it out there on Twitter. You can go to EW Buyer, that's Beyer. You can hit me up there, but of course through Sennheiser, I cover the central United States. If you just reach out to any of us, they can push you in my direction. Otherwise, we have a whole business development team that covers the United States and Canada, and including South America. I mean, all over the country or the world. So we're here to support and help in any way we can.
Awesome. Well, thanks, Eric. We really appreciate the time today and hope you have a great rest of the show.
Appreciate it, BC.
All right, thanks,
you.
sir. Bye. Hey, it's BC Hatchett back again here on the show floor in InfoComm 2023 at the Hetman booth. And I am joined by George with Sharp NEC. George, how's it going today?
BC, it's going really well. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank
You too. Yeah, absolutely. Pleasure to be here as well. So, for those that don't know you, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I am the solution architect for Sharp NEC Corporation. I represent one of 6 individuals that are specialists that allow for. We had to move a mic, everybody. So no problem. We got to make sure the technicals are in proper, in proper alignment. So my role as solution architect is to help end user customers. Obviously, my first customers are salespeople, and then their customers. So I help with the solutioning of our display products with third-party offerings. I specialize more in collaboration and video walls, flat panel displays, and we have other team members on our solution team that do other specialties such as direct view LED. We have 2 specialists for that. We also have a specialist for projection, and then we have another gentleman that handles all of our consultant and architect. He's the liaison manager for that.
Very, very cool. So, what are some of the great things that Sharp NEC are showing this year at InfoComm?
Well, it's a fantastic booth this year. We just have everything that you could imagine from our display technology. We're actually the 2nd largest display company in the world, by virtue of the merger and acquisition from Sharp. So 3 years ago, Sharp bought our company, which brought a lot of neat products to our vantage point, namely the Aquos board. So the Aquos board has been known for a long time, especially in education. It's gone through many iterations. It keeps improving and improving, has a lot of special features for that. The PA-PV series and our projector line is very instrumental in education. It allows for nice, crisp, clean imagery, longevity because of our laser technology. You can go up to 20,000 hours before a maintenance has to occur, so it's a little bit different and more advantageous for education versus the bulb type of projectors that a lot of us have lived with for the longest time.
Absolutely.
On the larger side, we have direct view LED offerings. Direct view LED can be custom designed, so we can custom design that either in a large format for maybe imagery going into education lobbies, for instance. We also have direct view LED kits that kind of emulate the 2x2 and 3x3 video walls that are in certain applications. You'll see this not necessarily in classroom applications for education, but in like a lobby or a cafeteria, those type of environments there. And so those are the 3 major product sets that we have. In addition to that, we have a lot of other back-end computing options that allow for ease of use to have embedded computing within our devices. So whether it's a Windows-based computer or even a Raspberry Pi, which a lot of education use, you can do the programming directly on the NEC asset with the Raspberry Pi built in, and a bunch of other neat things. So it's a really fantastic booth this year, a lot of activity, and we're showing the best of what we have this year.
Very cool. Yeah, I was just kind of the overall vibe and feeling around the show. It's like, the COVID shows of the past couple of years, they're gone. We're back to normal operations now. Things are good. I'm sure you all are seeing a high turnout at the booth every day.
It feels like 4 years ago.
It does. It really does.
And it's exciting. I'm glad to see this. This show is huge. There's so much activity. We're trying to find a place to rest and sit down for a minute. But, that's the nature of our business.
Oh, it's hard. I'm telling you, coming from just normally attending a show and walking around to now working at a booth during a show, I have a greater appreciation for what your all's feet and legs go through on a yearly basis.
I understand, BC, but the big problem, I was talking to a lot of my associates and other folks coming into the booth, is that, you know, the 4 years makes you sit down a lot. You know, so the strength and the muscle,
Not there.
It's not there.
More treadmill time is needed.
I'm just glad that the attire attitude has relaxed a little bit, so we can get a little more comfortable. Still maintain a professional presence, but you know, still have some comfort to get through the day.
I agree. I have been looking around, just kind of checking everything out, and one thing I've noticed is the dress shoes are gone. Everybody's wearing tennis shoes, sneakers, flip-flops, whatever's comfortable. And I think you're right. That is like one of the greatest things that has come out is the fact that we can be a little more relaxed.
Absolutely.
We don't have to be so stuffed shirt and stringy all the time.
That's right. That's right. Yep.
So you've got a lot of folks that you work with. What are some of the higher ed trends that you guys are seeing?
Yeah, one of the biggest trends I've noticed is within collaboration, because it's really right in the forefront of what I do, is bring your own device. You know, there was a big push, you know, for many years of the embedded solutions that have, say, proprietary software, embedded computing that's really proprietary to that manufacturer. And over time, I think, you know, what folks did, they wanted more flexibility. And since a lot of the software, maybe lesson plan software or other things proprietary to their teaching method, is offloaded now onto their personal computer, they now have flexibility to get into a device that maybe makes more sense for them in their environment. You know, maybe they don't need a camera on a display. You know, maybe they need a microphone and they don't need a microphone. Maybe they want to add 2 more computers to the device and previous solution didn't allow for expandability.
Yeah.
Or maybe they want something embedded. Now it's all about options. So with our Aquos board line, we have different models for different purposes. Entry-level model where you have to bring your own PC. It has touchscreen and some other basic functionality. Middle of the level model where we have the ability to add a camera and a microphone. You can have multiple inputs, DisplayPort devices. We still support, because education still has VGA. We still have devices that support VGA. I know, but you know what? All due respect to those.
I know.
Because if it's not broke, you know what I mean? There's you know, planned obsolescence, you know, or you planned replacements, but we do support that for VGA. So bring your own device is very big in our space. You know, the other thing, the projector line, you know, we're getting them where they're, like I mentioned at the very beginning, there's no bulb replacement anymore in the majority of these projectors. So these things can outwit and outlast for up to 20,000 hours before a filter or maintenance regimen has to occur. That's another advantage as well. DirectView LED may be a little bit of a stretch for education. Not for K through 12, definitely a bit of a stretch in my opinion, unless there's the need for an impressionable wow factor, or if there's some type of donor wall or things like that that come up in discussion. So really, it's the flat panels. You know, one of the things about our flat panel displays is that we have high haze capability to reflect any kind of lighting. So, you know, you may have seen certain displays that really just looks like someone put plexiglass on the front of it. It's just a horrible experience. But when you look at our displays, it's almost like it's eating the external light. You know, it's keeping that picture so pristine and vibrant. And you may not notice that on your day-to-day, because we tend to get used to things over time. Like, for instance, video walls. You know, I do a lot of video walls still because our UN series video wall is one of the industry standard video walls for many years. And what happens is that, you know, you eventually don't see the bezels, you know, when the video walls are together. You know, we've seen them through so many times, but in certain applications, whether it's real specific information you want to identify, those bezels can get in the way of some of that information. So the trend also moving forward are seamless pieces of display, meaning like a projector where there's no encumbrances or no bezels to interfere with any content. And of course, DV-LED offers that too. Now, over time, DV-LED is going to lower in cost, so it'll become more affordable. And then folks out there that are listening to this broadcast will understand that DV-LED has a long time longevity and uptime rating versus any other product out there. So the technology runs on diodes. And you may have heard this term pixel pitch.
Yes.
And so pixel pitch is basically the distance from one diode to another. So the farther the pixel pitch, like 16 millimeter pixel pitch, you're really far away from that sign. Classroom, you're going to be pretty close to the content, so you need a finer pixel pitch. That tends to be pretty expensive at this point. So video walls are still favored unless you have sensitive content where you're not worried about any bezels to become obstruction. Ultimately, we have 2 other display products that allow for that. So that's a trend too, moving down in education I'm seeing as well.
Yeah, I definitely agree on the DirectView LED. I've been seeing a lot of it around, and like you said, the price point's really starting to come down, and I fully predict within 3 to 5 years, I will have the first DirectView LED wall in one of my classrooms. I
Yes, you will.
really, truly believe that.
Well, in addition to that, we're also making headway in that regard because it's pretty much a custom solution. So you can design these things as big and as small as you want, but we also make it very convenient for the user to buy kits. So we have different purpose-built kits that are ready to go. Now,
Okay.
we provide the installation as well, and so we take care of the whole 9 yards for the customer. Come and do the installation. These kits, they emulate the sizes of like 2x2s and 3x3s. So it could be like 120-inch diagonal, 165-inch diagonal, maybe things that are meant for 50-plus seat classrooms.
Yeah, so you're like dialing right in on basically the standard projection screen sizes and probably, I would say, 80-90% of the learning spaces that are out there.
That's right.
now.
Correct. So over time, the kitting and, the more run rate that anybody gets with the product, the price will become more congruent to their budgets. Or they might understand, and one point that I wanted to make earlier when I was talking about pixel pitch, the longevity of DirectView LED is outstanding. Like, for instance, if you could run that stuff to 80 to 100,000 hours before the diodes start to degrade.
Yes.
That's fantastic. So when you think about it, I'm like, I thought to think about that for a minute when I first started with DirectView LED like 6 years ago. I mean, what's the most egregious example I can talk to people to give them an understanding of the longevity of it? And so if you were to only broadcast or show the color white at 100% power, that's 11 years of full-blown white, and then the diode starts to degrade. That's 11 years of display power that you're buying. I mean, it's fantastic.
It's the ROI on that is through the roof.
It is even now, even though the price is a little bit higher, it's still the ROI is still there.
Absolutely. So, George, last question I've been asking folks is,
Yes, sir.
we're sitting here talking in a booth for end users, by end users.
I don't believe
What do you
this.
think about that?
I'm pitching myself. I mean, this is never the case. We never have an end user have a booth at this, but your organization's fantastic, and we're proud to be participating with your organization. But I think it shows that other end user organizations can participate in these industry shows as well, and have a presence. But the education presence that you guys bring is fantastic, and it's appreciated. And I'm glad you're here.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, absolutely.
We're happy to be here, and also very happy to have your partnership and support. So, thank you for that, George. George, how can people get a hold of you? How can people get a hold of you?
You can call. You can go to sharpnecdisplay.com and find me, or you can reach out to me at bordeng@sharpusa.com.
Awesome.
And I answer emails and I return phone calls. So please, if you have any questions out there in the world and you want to learn more about this, please feel free to dial me directly.
Awesome, George. Thank you so much for the time. I hope you have a great rest of the show.
Thank you, BC. Appreciate it.
Thanks.
Yep.
Hey, all right. Hopefully you enjoyed those interviews. This was, again, 2 parts. I don't know if you're watching part 1 or 2 or listening to part 1 or 2, but it was such a just great experience and great hearing how our partners throughout the industry are really focusing on the higher ed vertical. It's important. This is a big step for us as a vertical. So hopefully you enjoyed that. And of course, as always, the opinions expressed here are necessarily those of Higher Ed AV, our respected institutions. HEPMA, which is now Higher Ed AV, is now a HEPMA company. Let's see, what else? Any of the sponsors of the show and all of that. And of course, if you didn't like these opinions, there may be better ones next time. See y'all.